Hi there everybody. Welcome to my channel. If you're brand new, I hope if you like what you see, you consider hitting the subscribe button or the like button or both. Anytime you want to make a comment, I always try to see every comment and try to respond when it's appropriate. I'm going to do some, and if you're not new here, welcome back, of course, my friends. I'm going to do some vanilla extract here today. And so this is just examples here. And then this is all you need. Well, there's a little piece of something on here. It's probably a piece of a bean. I'm trying to get that off. Anyway, a vanilla bean. All I need is a cutting board, a knife, a funnel, my choice of vanilla beans, and I get mine from Amazon. I used to get them at Costco, but I haven't seen them there in a long time. And bottles. So let me start here. So this one's A. Yeah, this one's A. And for A, I like to use that if I'm going to use the beans for something other than tincture. A is, it's just a different variation of flavors that you get. It can be really good for vanilla bean paste or something like that, in my opinion. For tinctures and for extracts, I'm not making a tincture, I'm just going out of habit on my mouth. I'm wanting B. So these are grade B, and I got 26 of them, and they came the very next day. So did the others, the A, but they were from a different company, but I got a lot more here, 26. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose a liquor, a base, a preservative. So what I have always used is vodka. I do this with tinctures and I do it with extracts. I like vodka because it doesn't come with any flavor. Okay, so this is the best that I want to do. You can go more expensive, but it isn't going to make one tiny bit of difference how far you go and how different you make it, okay? You can also use rum, bourbon. The difference is you're going to have sweet notes, like for baking. It's what I do with mine. Sweet notes with vodka. And your rums and bourbons are going to have some kind of, sometimes, most of the time, a darker, smokier, like good for if you're going to make barbecue sauce or, something, basting sauce, something. So, keep that in mind. And you know what? I didn't say my spiel that I always say, which is, your grandmama made the best chocolate cake or potato salad. It was the only recipe you'll ever use. That doesn't mean it's the only recipe worthy. So if you have a different recipe, then of course you're going to like your recipe, and this is how I do mine. I'm going to tell you safety stuff like how to, keep it fresh and blah, 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 but that's basic. Everybody tells you that. Okay, so I'm going to put away some things, and hold on a sec. Okay, as I get older and my children have moved on, I find myself using less, cookie baking, cake baking, so less vanilla. I started this one in August of 21, and I started this one in November of 22. This bottle is blue, so it's going to look darker in there, and this one is clear. No matter what you put in it, bottle-wise, you're going to want to use a rubber, a silicone, a cork, Don't use anything metallic because I'm afraid that might react, and I'm only going off hunches here on that part. I'm going to hit this with a flashlight and show you what we got inside, so you can see through it. Okay, here we go. So you can see the beans in there, I hope. And how many beans you put in there is how much money you want to spend, okay? I would put at least 5 of the half beans, cut them in half. Now these are shorter than the A's, I believe, but So let's see if I've got any beans left in here. This is my main bottle. Yeah, I do. Here, so you can see. I have added more and more beans to this. So they just stay preserved because that's pretty strong alcohol. Let's go ahead and, that doesn't help one iota, Kendra. I was going to show you the proof and all of that. So what we have here is Kendra put her glasses down. Alrighty then. We have 10 times filtered for remarkable smoothness, made in America. 40% alcohol by volume, and I believe that's 80 proof. I have used 100, but you don't have to. Okay, so here's some bottles that I've gotten. I got these from Amazon back when I used to do tincture for postpartum moms, not vanilla bean tincture. Anyway, I got a bag of them, and these I think I've got maybe 2 more left in the cupboard. I was just going to show you, and they have the swing top, and that is kind of it's not cork or rubber, it's some kind of other material, probably, I don't know, but it does shut really well. You guys, I'm not my 100% self right now. I went to the doctor again. She prescribed some medication. I'll just do this real quick. I went to the doctor. She prescribed some medication for my eye, which I had a raging infection in the eyelid. And we did antibiotics, and we did 2 different kinds of antibiotics, topical and drops. Anyway, so we did all that. I'm still not better. She goes, well, you're done with antibiotics. Now we're going to get you steroids. The only problem is I have glaucoma. Steroids raise glaucoma pressure in your eye. And it can cause pressure on the retina, which causes blindness. Okay, so that's not probably a great idea. But she goes, I'm going to do it at the lowest dose. We're going to watch this really close. Called my pharmacy. My pharmacy says, yes, but it's not covered. It'll be $640 for a little bottle of drops. I said, well, I'm going to give that some thought. My husband said, do it. And I said, I don't think so. Doctor's office called me back and said, we found a compounding factory. Why do I always do that? A compounding pharmacy that will do it for a whole lot less. It's going to be $52. But here's what you need to do. And verbally, they gave me the directions, not in writing. I know it would come with in writing, but it was not a doctor. I don't know who it was. It was some guy. And anyway, in the end, while he's talking, I'm saying in my head, nope. I don't know this pharmacy. I don't know the pharmacist. He says, oh, and it could take up to a week to arrive or more, but it's only $52 or $54. Anyway, so in the end, I told him, okay, you know what? I'm not feeling great about this. I'm not hearing the benefits, the risks, the alternatives. What can I do? So I'm going to just think on this well. And he says to me, so you don't want it at all? And I said, that's what I'm saying. I don't want it at all. I'm not upset with anyone. I just don't want it. And he says, okay. So this morning, as soon as they opened up, the doctor's on the phone with me. She called me, and she was very, very pleasant, as she always is. And she said, I know that you don't know this pharmacy, but we've used it before and we trust it. And that wasn't the only problem. The problem was that the person on the phone with me didn't identify themselves as anything. They could have been a receptionist. They could have been a medical assistant, an RN, a doctor. I don't know. And I just wasn't comfortable. So anyway, in the end, I asked her if it would be all right if I went ahead and just let time resolve this. I said, I've already started using Benadryl. And this is my point. This is why I'm so loopy. I'm on Benadryl, which makes me stupid. So tired. So Benadryl and ice to the eye. And she was concerned that I would use, she's always concerned about this. Don't use a washcloth. A washcloth will spread, bacteria. And so I'm using a paper towel, and a clean paper towel each time, and ice on my eye like every 2 hours to try to bring down the swelling along with the Benadryl, and she'll see me in 2 weeks. Okay, I'm so sorry. If you know me, you know I tend to take a left off the path. Okay, so This bottle I've had for a long time. I don't remember where I got it. Maybe my parents, maybe one of my kids. I did get this one from one of my kids. These are both 750 mils, and I did not do the math. You know what? At one point I had notes with all of this information, but because of my delirium, I've lost everything. Okay, I wanted to share that this is really good. It's bourbon vanilla. It's great for, I already said barbecue sauce, but ice cream. You can put drops in a pot of coffee, stuff like that. So if you use the A beans, this is what you want it for, because it's going to be a richer, smokier, sweeter flavor. The ice cream had me, you know. You can also put it in your pecan pie. So this is Trader Joe's, and this one is M&B. The reason I have these along with mine is because I have a kid here who cooks and believes himself to be, I don't know what, the galloping gourmet, but nothing that I have is good enough. I think it's just because he enjoys, you know, finding his own ingredients and stuff. So he came home with both of these. Here's what you need to know. The amount you're going to pay for this stuff versus homemade is so much more. These are horribly expensive. You're also going to get a lot less, especially if you buy those little McCormick bottles. Those little McCormick bottles are about 6 teaspoons versus, yeah. So anyway, that's my spiel on that. Okay, I'm going to put this away, and I'm going to tell you that shelf life on homemade vanilla extract is about 5 years. Here's the reason for that. This is never going to expire, but the vanilla beans will start to lose their flavor after 5 years. So what I'm going to do is strain this and put all of the beans in the garbage and add fresh beans to it. Okay? So you can do that. You just keep using the liquid. This is the one I'm going to make today. So let's get started with that. One more thing. I think this is important. When you make your extract, if you want to give it away as gifts, these little bottles are so cool. So say like it's a bridal shower or a Christmas exchange gift, like for, you know, the girlfriends or whatever. If you put some of this with, and you make yourself a fancy label of what it is, and then you put it in a, you know, bowl, a fancier bowl, not just a, you know, Dollar Tree bowl, but although I've done that. But this is fancy vanilla, so, you know, think it deserves a fancy bowl. And a pretty spatula, and your favorite recipe for your favorite cookies that use vanilla. This is going to be real popular as a gift, you know, so I took it to a Christmas exchange one year. I don't even remember what it was for, a bunco group or I don't know, maybe a cookie exchange where we all brought a gift, you know. And so this got passed around several times, as in taken away from somebody that already had it. You know, you play that Dirty Santa game. You know, people don't usually have this, so, and they don't know where to get it homemade, and it is the best. More on this bottle. I opened the vodka. I've got my, what is this thing called? Funnel ready. And I want to tell you about this. I got this off one of my adult boys, and I loved the lid. That's a cork, but this is wooden. And this company that sells bourbon is Brown, and they're local to us. I didn't realize that. Like they have a local distillery, or whatever you call a bourbon place. So I washed this by hand, and then I put it through my dishwasher twice. I washed this by hand because I was afraid the dishwasher wasn't going to cut it. Does it? Nope, it has zero smell. It used to smell like liquor. And so I just thought it was such a pretty bottle. And it'll take up some room, but it's worthy. I didn't say, but these are USDA organic. And yeah, so I can't remember what they cost me. I'll have to look. Okay, I opened it up, and as soon as I popped the plastic with the tip of the knife, it just filled around with the scent of vanilla, like a baked good. So you can see they're really moist. And I'll put one out on a cutting board, or 2 or 3. Hold on a sec. I put on gloves because I thought it was appropriate. Okay. No, nope, nope, nope. Got my funnel here. They're over here having a discussion about chew toy. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think I'm going to put 15. Hold on. Okay, now some people, when they make their, extract, they just drop the beans in whole. Some people take the tip of the knife and they run it the lengthwise down and just split it down the middle, but not all the way. Some people cut them in half. For me, I want to at least poke holes in them. I don't want tincture. I don't want the extract to take as long as it would if I didn't. Okay, so that's another difference. You're going to find people who swear their way is right. It's the only way, and it's not the case. It's the person creating its way. Did I tell you putting it this, if you use grade A to put it in pecan pie? Oh, yes. I've gotten that from Maineiacgrammieshomestead, Brenda. She always says, oh, yeah. All right. So price controlled. This is going to be a crazy worthy, especially if you just get the Smirnoff. I used to start off with the best of best alcohol, and you just don't need it. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and poke some holes in these. I'm going to try to do this while holding the can. It's just as simple as that. Just poke a hole and go on and poke it all the way down. Take your bean and drop it in there. That's 2. So here we go. These are what I have left over, and I might do that bottle like I was saying I was going to do, or I might not do it yet. We'll see. Anyway, here are all of the 15 beans. I poked all but 2. The other 2 I split, but not all the way. I just took the tip of the knife and split down. And now I will fill it to the top of the beans with the vodka.